Okay, hi guys. Today we have Georgiy. Hi, Georgiy.
Hi there.
It's really nice to have you today during our interview. So let me introduce you to our listeners. Georgiy Kostiakov is the Cross product manager at TemplateMonster, and TemplateMonster is one of the oldest providers of website templates on the internet. And I believe Georgiy today will tell us a lot more about the company he works for. So Georgiy, how did you find yourself working for TemplateMonster?
Well, it was when I was studying at my university. Uh, uh, it was first a project called Web Design Library at webdesign.com.org, and it was devoted to web design articles and tutorials, Photoshop effects, and so on. It was like a support project for TemplateMonster, content project to acquire some new visitors and reach new audience. Since then, it was like 2002 or not 2003 maybe. And since then, well, there were a lot of such projects of a support kind, right? I evolved as a specialist. I tried different positions. And the last one was like a growth manager. And it was not only about TemplateMonster, because TemplateMonster is just one of a wide variety of projects in our holding. By the way, we're now called Jet Monsters. Okay. It's like a name of our holding, and TemplateMonster is just one of the projects here. Well, it's the biggest one, of course, but there are Crackerblog, there's Moto CMS, Moto Press, and templates.com, and so on. My idea was to, inject a growth methodology in all the main projects in our company. And because, well, it's something new in marketing. I was a great evangelist of such a method. I acquired some courses and seminars and conferences. As for now, we've provided this growth method to 4 of our projects. And I think, well, it was a successful experience. Maybe we'll talk a bit more about it later.
Of course.
As for now, the latest, thing I'm doing is starting a new, totally new project, even a business inside our holding. And this is the first case when it's not related to web design at all. It's a mobile development team called Jet Apps, where we're trying to make hyper casual games, mobile games. So this is something I'm working on right now.
Wow, okay. That's so interesting, because when I was researching on TemplateMonster, I just heard that it's a full cycle. You have the full cycle inside your company, and basically that's it. And now you tell me so much more about businesses inside the businesses. So, well, but before we go into this business-related topic, I really want to our listeners give the opportunity to learn more about you as a personality, not only you working at the TemplateMonster. So what do you do in your free time, or like what are your hobbies, so that we get more connected to you?
Well, it's an interesting topic, because games are one of my main hobbies, and only now I was able to merge, my hobby and my work, and I'm very excited about it, because maybe I'll just tell you that I have several game consoles. I have virtual reality helmet. I have everything game related. So it's my passion in some way, and you know, it fits perfectly in well, something I'm trying to do right now. But despite of that, well, I have a family. I have two kids, two boys, 10 and 4 years. Well, I live in Lviv 4 years. Before that, I lived in Mykolaiv. And we decided to move here. Well, I like an active way of living. I constantly ski, and you know, uh, uh, when I was in Mykolaiv, I took part in such a thing like AutoQuest. Maybe you've heard about it. It's
No.
no, well, it's a rather extreme way to well, to well, let me describe it into words. It's when there are several teams, where each of them have several field members, which have to drive some places in the night by car, and they find some hidden objects, while the other part of the team is like a brain hub. They're trying to solve some puzzles in the same time, and tell the field part where should they go and what should they search for.
Wow.
And the first team to solve all the puzzles wins. And you know, it's a rather extreme way to have a rest. So, well, I like that stuff.
That's so cool that you like games, and you said that now you managed to combine your hobby and your work. But how did you manage to come to this? Because you know, a lot of people have hobby and they would like to earn money with that hobby, but it's impossible. So they work for something they do not usually like. So how did you manage to find your passion that you put into the work?
You know, that's an interesting question, because well, several months ago, our CEO he told me that we're a bit stuck in this our domain field, like web design, and he wanted to search for some new ideas of new businesses, and he offered me to make some kind of research, like where can we go to, and where can we use our expertise, our resources, our knowledge, just to, well, to find some new ways for businesses, for new projects. And it took me about a month of investigation just to understand that this is it. Why didn't I talk about it earlier? Because it's like, it's so obvious. And I made a pitch, and it constantly took attention of our top management. Well, we've done some new research, I mean additional research, and approved all the budgets and all the milestones, and now I'm here.
Okay, well, so let me just jump into here. So you said that you came to TemplateMonster in 2002, right?
2003, I think.
Okay, so that was just the beginning of this company,
Yes.
right? Can you explain more, like how you see what was the beginning idea and how it's evolving, how it's changing right now? How are you developing?
That's an interesting story. I was not in the company back then, but it was when one of founders of our company was doing some, he led a web design studio, They were doing some custom designs, and they were rather successful. But they noticed that most of their orders, most of projects they do, they constantly use the same elements, and they began to combine such elements and store them like templates. Because back then there was no such a product as a website template. And one of that team just, I don't know, like something like a brainstorm or something like that. But they just decided to try packing such, elements and selling them as website templates. And this is how it started. Well, they constantly took attention of web design community. It was a very successful project from the very beginning. And the only thing was to find a way to extrapolate it and to make it bigger and more successful. And I joined the company the next year during when it was on its way up.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it.
Okay, so that was the beginning, and you told something about a new project, a new business inside this business. So can you tell a lot more about the project you're working on right now?
Okay, let me clarify how it works here. It was back then, it was the only project, the only business inside our company. But when we developed our website, when we grew up, we saw that there's another trend growing up, like website builders. And we decided to create a new project called Moto CMS. It was Flash CMS back then, but we all know what happened to Flash. So it was a website builder that, well, its main goal was to take place in this niche and to acquire those visitors, those clients who are seeking not only for a website template, but for the whole, pack of those services. And then was an idea to make a studio like for custom designs, and the template tuning appeared. Then there were several other ideas, and we grew to a whole bunch of projects that are somehow related more or less to TemplateMonster, templates, or at least web design.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and here's well, a stage when the company decided to well, overcome this domain field and to broaden its portfolio to another spheres. This is how we got to mobile gaming.
Wow. Okay. You're working in this company for, let's say, like 20 years.
Well,
and
almost, yeah.
that's really a lot. Usually I saw just the professors working at the universities or at schools for such a long time. For you, have you sometimes like thought about maybe it's the end for me in this company, or how do you find yourself still being motivated to work at TemplateMonster?
Well, a good answer is that you should constantly seek for another work each 3 or 5 years, just to hold yourself in a good shape, right? To learn something new, to try something new. And I got lucky to work in such a company that can give me an opportunity to switch each 3 or 5 years, even faster, I think. And as I told before, I went through a bunch of different, positions, right? I worked on different projects, so I don't feel like I'm staying on the same spot. I'm constantly developing myself, my skills. I'm constantly doing some different stuff. And the main thing, the most important thing is that I can express myself and I can propose some new ideas and take responsibility for implementing them. This is why I never feel like, well, that's enough. I got tired or I got bored. Well, I don't need to seek for some new possibilities because everything I need, I do have here. Well, at least as for now.
Wow, okay, that's really motivating. Or at least maybe, of course, it's some parts of the company, but it's also part of you that is constantly looking for some challenges, which is very
Yeah.
inspiring. Well, when honestly, I heard something about TemplateMonster before, but only when I was getting ready for the interview, I was researching and I was just learning how fascinating everything inside is. And I heard that you do between 20 and 40 templates per day. That's the statistic that says that is in the internet. Is that true that you can do so many templates? The TemplateMonster can do so many templates per day?
Look, as for now, TemplateMonster is being transformed to a marketplace, right? Most of templates that are being appear on our marketplace are from other authors, from other vendors, but it's well, it was not the case only a year ago, because we always considered that we should take a full responsibility for the product we provide, and this is why we should always do everything by ourselves. And it had some good sides of such, well, as such a process, but it was a great limitation for us. We could not grow fast enough. And this is why, well, last year, TemplateMonster decided to become an open marketplace. And now we can accept all the templates that fit our requirements, quality requirements, and publish it on our marketplace. This is why we have such a big amount of items added every day.
Okay, that's what I heard that before. If I just, let's say, if I want to add my own template and work with it in this platform of TemplateMonster, I couldn't do that. But right now I can add my, okay, you are changing a lot, honestly. If you had to say, I don't know, like up to 5 biggest challenges that you in the TemplateMonster have faced with during the last year, during the pandemic, what would that be? Because every business was suffering in some way. What about TemplateMonster during the pandemic?
Well, it's interesting enough that due to pandemic, we didn't feel that it somehow ruins our business or harms it in any way, because most of offline businesses felt that need of online presence, and that is why well, the amount of orders even grew up. But we had our inner problem. I mean that we had to learn fast how to work remotely, to work effectively, to keep that communication between different, we had more than 300 people working in TemplateMonster, and we had offices in 3 or even 4 cities. It's Kiev, Lviv, Mykolaiv, I think it's Kherson also. And we had to learn fast how to well, to keep the control over all the processes, and at the same time not to overdo this control, and to keep it perfectly comfortable for our workers, employers, right, to perform and to stay motivated, and not to feel that someone's, controlling them too much. So this is a question of like a thin balance, right, between control and the freedom. And I think we're still looking for this perfect balance, but well, I'm quite happy with the level we acquired right now in this term.
Yeah, I believe it's also all about trust. When you trust your employees, you will be able not to check them constantly, but it's quite hard, especially specifically if you're so big, like 300 people. That's a lot.
Trust is not on the first place. It's about, communication, motivation. It's when speed of feedback on your work. This is about those processes on the first place. So there are, we all know there are different, tools to help with it, and it was rather challenging for everyone, all right, with all the different needs and frameworks to find one tool, one framework to work with, because we're one company. And we have to keep one system, right, for all of our employees.
And how about now? Do you feel like going back to the office, or you're working still remotely?
We're still working remotely, but our employees have an option if they want to, or if they can't afford. They can't work remotely. It's hard for them to do it from home. They can go to office, but we recommend them to stay at home till the pandemic, ends.
It's over. Yeah, nobody knows when, but hopefully. Okay, I will be coming back to the TemplateMonster topic, and I heard that you are you consider yourself to be beginner friendly, right? So if I don't have skills in editing, in creating the templates, I will be feeling comfortable in TemplateMonster. And then I decided to research on your, let's say, competitors, and I found that might be, or maybe no, you will tell me, ThemeForest. So they seem to be a little bit more sophisticated. They're not that beginner friendly. So do you see them to be your competitors, or you do not want to become sophisticated? You want your templates to be simple to use, just here's a template and use it. What do you think?
Well, I would say that TemplateMonster and ThemeForest are competitors in lots of ways, but we are different at the same time because our templates and all the products have much more in common. We all try to make them on the same level of usability, right, of quality, and we have a very strong support system, and this is something that ThemeForest lacks. If you want to have the biggest choice, right, then you may search for templates on ThemeForest. But if you want to be sure that you have the best quality product and the most simple way to use them, to edit them and install, and you want to be sure that you will have 100% support at any time, then stick with TemplateMonster.
Okay, that's a very good recommendation, honestly. Good. Okay, with that understood. So if one day I need templates, I know where to go. And if you said something about, you started with the growth, so this is your core, that template is easy to use, easy to install, support. Do you see any future, I don't know, let's say development, or like what would be the next level of growth for TemplateMonster? Because you already have support, you are already easy to use and install. What else?
I think that there's a little misunderstanding of what growth means in terms of processes while I was talking about. Growth is all about making a great amount of experiments in a short period of time, right? and just to extrapolate those experiments that show the best results. So we've created separate small growth teams on inside each of our main projects. And this growth team has to do at least 5 experiments per week. And that's right. And this...
That's a lot. Every day
well,
you've got an experiment.
Yes, yes. And this is what we struggle to do. And on a constant basis. And this is growth all about. It's when you just try to, well, to make a brainstorm, to create a great amount of ideas, and then to kind of sort them, and then to decide which of those ideas are good enough to test them in the fastest way possible. If you can't do it in a short term, you just split this idea in several little ones and make sure that your testing will give you, well, the best results. I mean, the most representative results you can get, so that you could make your decision on your product, on your processes, or on your services based on this data. So this is all about data-driven decision making. When before that, we, as everyone else, by the way, we've made decision based on our expertise, on some maybe research, on our inner feeling, and this is not the best way to, you know, in terms of long-term perspective, you will likely fail if you don't check all your ideas, and if you don't base your decisions on, you know, big data and some, you know, proof of concept. And after some well, not very successful experiments and providing well, big features that costed lots of money and resources, and they just didn't work. And we decided to provide this method of constant experimentation, and of before we make any decision, I mean key decision on any sphere inside our project, we try to test it as much as we can. So this is what the growth process is about.
Okay, so testing, and one more time testing. That's interesting. That's good that you have 7 days per week, so that 5 days you do experiments, and Sunday and Saturday you can relax a little bit.
No, you can start 5 experiments in 1 week, or yeah, in 1 day, or maybe you can do no experiments in 1 week and then launch 10 in the next one. So the main thing is that you should, well, constantly plan and start new experiments, and there should be no less than 20 per month.
Okay, you say that not less than 20. Do you think that might work for every business, or that's just the case of your company, your experience?
I didn't find any exceptions. I'm sure that this is the case for any business, and this is the methodology that I want to apply on our game development project. I'm trying to do it that way, well, that we could test at least 10 ideas, game ideas each month. Mm-hmm. So that before developing a prototype, or even the whole game with all the levels and all the stuff, we should be sure that people like this core gameplay, right? Or maybe visual effects or something like that. They stick with this game, and the snackability of this game is high enough for us to decide and invest our money and time in developing it. So I think that that growth can be applied to practically any business you can think of.
Okay, cool. So if we started speaking about growth, I believe you are the one who can tell us a lot more about growth hacking. So what is that? Like, how could you describe that?
This is everything I talked about. Just
That's it.
this is growth hacking is a constant experimentation and extrapolation of your successful experiments.
Okay, do you believe that, because now we start speaking about growth hacking, right? Because this term is so popular. But what was before? Do you think that growth hacking didn't exist before?
It
How did
did
people?
not. It
Oh,
did not. I'll tell you one story. Well, it was 215th, I think, and in Great Britain there was a cycling team that was very unsuccessful in terms of they never won international championships, and they hired a new trainer, and he decided that the best way for them to succeed is to find minimal improvements, but for, well, any aspect of the training process. Well, he decided that if I will be able to improve by 1% each sphere of our training, then we'll be successful. And it was about like very, very small things. For example, he discovered how to wash hands safer and quicker. And while he is a sportsman, got ill, well, less frequently, right? Then he discovered that a pillow of such an interesting form, I just don't remember what was that, well, lets you have a rest a little better than when you're sleeping on the ordinary pillar. And well, hundreds of such small improvements made his team super successful, and they won several, you know, several competitions in a row, and it was like a start for such a concept like
wow.
growth hacking. This is why it didn't exist even 6 years ago. It's a very fresh and new theme, and it's constantly developing, and the new rules are being constantly developed and established. So it's very interesting in terms of its flexibility, and you know, it's very fresh stream.
That's what I was about to say about flexibility, because I wanted to ask you, do you believe that growth hacking is just for some specific industry? But then I've never heard that this concept came from sport. So how it's flexibly moved from sport to almost every sphere. So I believe it could be for anything. Or do you think there are some exceptions that growth hacking, like testing, would not be useful for?
Well, nothing comes in my mind because IT just the most flexible industry, and it was the first to get this methodology. But it doesn't mean that IT is the only thing that can succeed while doing this growth hacking. I'm almost sure that it can be applied to practically anything.
Mm-hmm. And when you do testing, so when you do this growth hacking, like, okay, how much money do you need for that? Is this something that requires budget or not
Uh,
always?
well, in our case, we have a shared team. When, for example, a marketer, he spends like half a day per week for all those growth processes. A developer that has also several hours per week. And you know, two or three other people from different departments uh, that can take part in generating ideas or discussing them, criticizing them, and that's it. So I think it takes, well, not that much money while considering the impact that growth hacking can do for a business. And well, in terms of how much risks can you simply avoid by doing this stuff? Well, I know that big companies do have separate growth teams for even each part of funnel. I mean, conversion funnel, like a separate team for user acquisition, a separate team for I don't know, activation and retention. For example, like Amazon. Jeff Bezos says that, well, the success of Amazon is just a function on a number of our experiments. And they do about 1,000 experiments per week. And this is, well, how big companies do growth hacking.
Oh, yeah. But those are big companies. And what if there is a startup who wants to convince the stakeholders that their idea is nice, but before that they need to run a bunch of experiments, and for that they need money? What do they do? How do they do growth hacking?
You know, I'm not sure that startup is the best place to apply growth hacking on. Because you should have well, enough traffic to test on. And if you're a startup, if nobody knows you, it's a bit difficult to do such experiments. Well, there are other lean methods to grow a startup, to you know, develop it. But growth is more about major projects that have some audience and they have stuff to test on.
And how did you incorporate this concept into your project? When has it started? So that was back in 2015, or there was some gap?
It was half a year ago.
Oh, okay, so like so recent.
Several months ago. It's a recent project, and yeah, it's about half a year ago. We just decided to try to do meetings on a weekly basis, and we started a Trello board where we just put all our experiments and manage them. And once we saw an impact, we decided to extrapolate it to other projects. And step by step, then we used some help from our auto mentors. And as for now, there are 4 projects who maintain this growth process totally independently and on a constant weekly basis.
You know what I hear from growth hacking? It's something like when you have a goal, you usually work for that goal, and you are like so concentrated that you stop seeing what is going on around. And sometimes, because I think that if you decided to use this concept a couple of months ago, so for other companies it might be a new concept as well, and before they try to implement this concept into their business, they think, why do we need to waste time on experiments while we already have a goal to work for? So this is quite hard to make and to understand, why do I want to spend money, to spend my time to learn something new from the experiment, because I'm sure that everything is already working. And that might be quite challenging for companies to let themselves try something new.
Well, I have a good answer on this question. You know, there are 2 main concepts how to make a decision. The first one is to rely on your expertise. Well, if you have a visionary like, I don't know, Steve Jobs, who knows perfectly what a market needs, well, you can rely on that, but not everyone have such Steve Jobs, you know. And this is why we have a problem when we don't know for sure whether our decisions are right or not. And in our case, when we started testing, we found out that only 1 out of 5 of our ideas do pass this test. And if we wouldn't, we would invest a bulk, a great amount of money implementing this stuff, and we wouldn't get any impact out of it. So when you just know that only 20% of your ideas, it doesn't matter where you get them from, but only 20% of your ideas are okay, are good enough to invest your time on, well, you would understand that testing is a vital process, well, today.
Good. Yeah, that's true. Growth hacking. Interesting to learn, honestly. Have never, like, you are the first person for me to learn something about growth hacking, because okay, so there is growth, okay, hacking, and then you made it seem all clear how it works. So before, honestly, I didn't think that growth hacking is like completely connected to testing. So thank you for opening this idea, for making it broader. And I believe that if you have just started using this concept, so do you see some developments? So might that be not only testing, but something else in the future, or it's all about testing?
It's all about different types of testing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about you know, a new way to make your decisions. It's all about being sure that each next step would be profitable for you and it will not kill you. Okay, because if you have enough fat, you can you know, do several mistakes, right? But some mistakes can kill your business, and you should be able to be sure in advance that it will not. And I think that growth hacking or growth marketing will develop in this direction, just to improve the methodology and to improve some you know, frameworks to make it faster for you to know with a good enough percentage, right, that your decisions are okay. You know, I think that in 5 years it will be like a standard that those companies who do not use growth hacking today will either die or will use it in the nearest future. So this is something no one can avoid because in long-term perspective, you will not be able to compete effective enough if you will be making mistakes too often.
My mind already asks what's going to be next after growth hacking, but that's something we'll see in, as you say, 5 years or less or more.
Yeah, no one knows. No, you know, this is something like in hyper casual game development, like no one knows what will be in a year, but everyone knows for sure that hyper casual will not be in the place it is now, where it is now. So
yeah, because it's still changing, but we can't predict where it will be changing.
yeah.
Cool. Well, Georgiy, that's a very interesting conversation. I personally learned really a lot, and I believe there is a lot more that you can share with the listeners. Do you think that there is something you would like to add to the general topic?
Yeah, I would like to add that we're constantly looking for new talents, and we would be happy to acquire some great programmers and designers. Be sure to look for our uh,
Website.
website, yeah, for our options to work with us. And I'm grateful for you to give me an opportunity to talk about our growth, our company, our new businesses. It was a great time. Thank you.
Thank you so
I,
much.
I'm sure this is not the last time we're talking about it.
Of course it's not. And I believe when you get this fresh blood with the new programmers and other people, you will be developing even more. So we will be inviting you and maybe other team members for more interviews. And specifically in 5 years, I will be asking, do you remember you said something that growth hacking will be this and this? So we will be able to check whether these predictions became true or not.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay,
Okay.
Sophia, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day and let's stay in touch.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.